Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. Rita here. I am your wonderful host, and I can't wait to dive into today's episode because it's a snippets episode. First of all, happy belated Travel Advisor Day, everybody. That was a couple days ago, and so if you follow me on social media, I did a little special shout out to everybody, but I wanted to keep the love going because I know Travel Advisor Day has really evolved to Travel Advisor Month, which is kind of perfect because May is also my birthday month, so we share in the celebrations this week. It also means that the Travel Tech Audio Summit went live, so if you wanted access, just head on over to the link in the show description so that you can get access to the full episodes, because snippets episodes like this one means you only get a little snippet. I try and keep them like close to 5-ish minutes so that you just get like a high level overview, and then you head over onto the main audio summit feed to listen in on all of the different travel tech. Also, we only had 6 of the 7 go live because we needed to do a rescheduling of things. So if you're like, wait a second, there's a new episode available today. Yes, there is. So if you didn't know, the featured technology this year is Travel Agent Collective, which is a marketing technology, Trazel, which is a CRM, Feeel VR, which, yes, it is a virtual reality for site inspections technology. TravelWits is an AI booking technology. OnSpot Travel Solutions is a technology that pairs you up with people called spotters who are kind of like on the ground, boots on the ground for your clients when they're in destination. Shaka Guide is audio tour guides that people who are doing like driving tours, road trips can listen to. And then last but not least is Cruisin', which is a cruise booking tool. So we're going to dive into a couple of snippets. I also wanted to let you know, before we dive into these snippets, I have officially / unofficially decided that this summer is going to be the summer of getting shiz done. Not shiz university like in Wicked, but we are going to get stuff done within our businesses. So, if you're on my email list, you kind of know some of these things already, like Summer Camp at Sea is your opportunity to be with me and some of your fellow travel pros all together to get stuff done together and hold each other accountable. This is also going to be great for marketing in terms of getting content with yourself in destination in there so that you can use it for your social media or whatever marketing purposes that you have. I have also announced summer cleaning, which is pretty much going to be an 8-week program where we are co-working together to get stuff done in our businesses. See, there's a theme here. It's get stuff done summer. And then if you have any of my starter kits and you have not used the starter kits or you've been procrastinating on using the starter kits, we're also going to do some get it done weeks where we are going to get the stuff done. So if you thought this summer was going to be about laying back and relaxing, maybe a little bit of the summer is going to be like that. But we are not going to slow down the momentum of our businesses, and we're doing this together. We're on the knees together. Boo beep boop bada boop bada ba bada ba. Okay. Sorry, not sorry. I just had to go where the inspiration took me. But if you would like to join us, make sure that you're signed up for the email list, because people on the weekly Friday emails really get insider access to everything. And now I'm also doing partner highlights. So if you're wanting to learn about any special promotions from industry partners, you definitely need to be signed up for my weekly emails. And then to get access to some of these programs, you also need to be signed up for my emails. Yes, yes, yes. So I look forward to seeing you in your inbox every single Friday, just like I look forward to seeing you here every single Friday on the podcast. So let's dig in. The first Snippets episode is going to be with Nikita France, founder of Travel Agent Collective. So, Nikita France actually started Travel Agent Collective as kind of like social media templates and copy for you to easily create social media posts. Over the past couple years, it's quickly become not just a marketing resource, it's really become a robust marketing technology. So we do talk about a lot of what the technology does within her episode. And then, I had to get some of the juicy info. So this is what this Snippets episode is all about, getting some of that juiciness about social media marketing. So let's go. What would you say travel pros are still getting wrong with their social media when you're taking a look at some of their profiles?
I think the big thing is a lot of travel advisors are still hiding. They're still hiding.
Oh.
So I still don't see enough people showing their face on video and very speaking very boldly
Mhm.
about the fact that they're an expert in their niche.
Yep.
So I'm seeing more, which is fantastic. But if you go into any other niche, you're going to find people that are like, here's what I do, here's the tips, here's how to do it better, all
Yep.
the things. So I think more advisors can really lean into that role of authority and start showing
Love
their
that.
face because it is the quickest way to build trust and credibility. There's
Hmm.
not a question about it. So, whatever hurdle you need to overcome, whether it's like judgment of yourself or fear of judgment from others or anything, figure it out because you will grow so much quicker. Because again, I'm not seeing enough people doing it yet. So, there's
Hmm.
still lots of space. And especially if you're niched down to a specific type of client, if you can get on camera and be like, here are the top three things you need to know about XYZ niche, or I just booked a client in here. Let me tell you about this resort. People are going to be like, well, who is this expert? Who is
Yeah.
this person talking about this?
Right.
So, no more hiding. Video content, it has been a thing for years, but I think that's one thing that the travel industry, from a travel advisor perspective, can do better and can really
Mhm.
step up to because listen, there are influencers all over the place talking about
Right.
this, that, and the other destination. And you kind of have to borrow one from their playbook because while they may not necessarily be an expert, they can't book the trip or anything like that. What they are doing well is that they're building trust with people because
Mhm.
they're just showing up and talking about stuff and people are taking their word for it. So
Right.
that's all you need to be prepared to do too is simply just show up, speak to like for 30 seconds on one tiny little topic. It doesn't need to be all the things all at
Mhm.
once a week, and you will see a difference.
Yeah.
You will see a difference.
Yeah, I think my biggest pet peeve right now, there's two pet peeves that I have. The one that I have is travel advisors still having to justify their profession. And I'm like,
Mhm.
you don't need to tell people why they should work with you. You need to show them why they should work with
Totally.
you and put that expertise at the forefront. Somebody was just telling me that they're like, I think I want to do a presentation on like why it's more important to use a travel advisor post pandemic. And I'm like, let's reframe that into how to work or how a travel advisor can benefit you or a modern some I wanted to like reframe it that like
Mm,
no, we're not justifying the profession. Doctors don't have to justify themselves. We're not going to do that anymore either.
absolutely. And it's a huge difference to get on camera and say why you need a travel advisor after COVID, and a completely different thing to say, I just booked my clients in at XYZ resort. They don't know it yet, but they're going to get a room upgrade when they get there, champagne in their room, this, that, and the other. Like that is what? Anyone
Boom.
watching that is like, boom, I want that, right?
Yes.
So that is the shift you have to make. No more justification. I love that actually. I think that that's such a good way to put it and more just showing people what you can do
Yeah.
because premium clients like you we don't even have to have that argument anymore with them about booking online. Let's just circumvent that altogether and show them why they don't want to.
Right.
Highlight all of the reasons why they're not even going to want to think or breathe in the direction of Expedia ever again.
Yeah, there's a travel advisor who does a series on her Instagram, like, in this installment of This Family Should Have Used a Travel Advisor. And it just takes like like news headlines. And I'm like, this is brilliant. Chef's
Totally
kiss.
brilliant.
Like, love it. So the second pet peeve that I have is that stinking supplier content that I see on travel advisors, social medias. And I'm like, why are we, it's 2025. Why are we still doing this?
That is why I started Travel Agent Collective because when I came into the industry and I was working for suppliers,
Mhm.
creating their content for them, we'd like give it to the travel advisors and be like, go forth and preach the good word of our brand, you know?
Yeah.
And that's great for the brand, but it is not good for the travel advisor at the end of the
Right.
day. You're losing when you're busy marketing this, that, and the other brand, who is marketing you and your value? Who is
Boom.
marketing your service? So we of course we love our supplier partners, but the more important thing is for you to build the credibility and the trust first, and then you introduce them to the suppliers that
Uh-huh.
you recommend. But you can't give up your brand equity and your social media real estate to another brand by just like posting their graphics and putting them out there. Yeah.
Oh,
And also, the other, here's my pet peeve. I'll give you my pet peeve,
yes.
which is that suppliers also are not good at marketing. I
That
just
also.
they're not. They're not. A graphic with like a $200 off is not going to work anymore. People are so smart. Consumers are so smart. They know when they're being sold to. So you have to just like be low key about it. And suppliers haven't caught on to that yet. They're still
Yeah.
giving the like billboard style graphics to travel advisors. And that's such a shame because the moment someone sees that, they're scrolling right on by it because it's immediately like, that is an ad and I'm not interested.
Nikita and I obviously nerd out because we are a bunch of marketing nerds together. So it was really nice to kind of riff off one another, but then also learn about everything that Travel Agent Collective has to offer and also what's coming down the pipeline. Because again, it is not just social media, even though that is a big chunk of what they do over there. So, our next technology snippet here is with a new CRM that's coming out very, very soon called Trazel. And what's exciting for me about Trazel is that this is a technology that was actually built by a travel advisor, not by a travel advisor, but he hired developers to create this technology for his own travel agency. And he's making this technology available to travel advisors everywhere now. So, woohoo! Let's dive in. We're talking to Tim Evans, who is the founder president, and then also Krystal Aziz, who is the VP of operations for Trazel. So, let's do it. Let's dive in a little bit more on groups because I don't want to bypass the groups either because I think that really is one of the secret or not so secret weapons of Trazel is that group organization.
Yeah, it was built in mind to not only do weddings but any type of group, which I
Mhm.
think that one just being dynamic in that opens a lot of possibilities. But they're different flows for different things as well too. So that was a struggle. I can't oh, this process was so easy, it was amazing. No, like we had to really think about how people did things. And in groups, what you can do is embed a form on your website. The group leads are going to come straight into Trazel. You'd be able to touch bases with those customers and create a proposal for them.
Mhm.
You pull in, if it's a wedding, there's going to be wedding locations in there. There's going to be wedding packages that you can select from that are constantly being updated, or you could upload your own, or if it's a non-wedding, you could do an adventure group and put information about the national park. You would have to put in that information yourself right now, but in the future we can evolve as we get more feedback. And
Mhm.
then from that proposal, the client reviews everything in their traveler hub. So similar to like how people log into an OTA and they have their account and their email and everything's there, we've brought that now to travel advisors as well. And so their customers have a account and they can log in and see all their quotes and their bookings. And if they're managing a group, they can see all the details too. So it's now pushing technology right in front of their hands, on their phone, on their laptops, because that's where we're heading. That's the
Mhm.
direction of this industry, of the world right now. And so you can turn that proposal, once they accept everything, you can turn it into a confirmed group. If it's a group room block, you can load in your rates and what inventory you have, and it starts like as guest or book, it's counting your inventory for you so you stay connected. If there's multiple agents working on a group, they can all see the information so everybody's talking to each other. And then the wedding couples or the group leaders, they get a website. They get a website that they can share. It's directly tied to Trazel. You know, any guest that submits a request form comes in as a lead on the customers tab. So everything is just talking to each other. That's what we wanted it to do, and just kind of making it the best groups platform out there. There's
Yeah,
many more features of it, but I think this podcast is not when we don't have
I
enough
know.
storage
It'd be
for
very
it.
long.
But
Kind of
yeah, that's a
going.
highlight. Tim, I miss anything?
No.
No, no, you got it. I was just gonna say, and it's branded to your agency, right? So it has your logo at the top. It has your logo on the Traveler Hub login. So it is your site. And there's always the definitive next step on how to book. A lot of times, you may send a quote over email and the customer goes, okay, I'd like to book, right? What's next? Well, there's always that next step to where book now. They fill in the information. It comes right to you. You're notified in Trazel, and you can complete the booking. We also have a chat, so the customer can chat in their quote and ask you questions, and you can have um, real-time conversations if you'd like. The chat just lives in your dashboard, so you can always reference it. So we tried to add a bunch of little tools. Like Krystal said, there's so many different features that we don't want to bore everybody, but yeah, we're super excited just how it's gonna be a game changer for the industry.
And it's only
Yeah.
going to get better. Like we want to hear what people think and how
Mhm.
they're running their businesses, and we want to continuously like make the product better and better and better. So it's going to evolve. It's going to change.
This is another one of those episodes that I totally geek out on. So if you haven't listened to the travel episode, make sure that you do so because they have so many features in it. And as you're going to as you're going to hear me say along, the way that they've set up Trazel just makes sense. And so this is going to be the differentiator really with a lot of CRMs is what makes the most sense for you and your brain and how you organize information and then also how you process information because there's lots of really great CRMs on the market. But Trazel is one of those that, like, as soon as I had seen it, I'm like, I feel like I could just get started working on it immediately. So make sure that you take a look into that. Again, they are, I think, like beta launching it or soft launching it really, really, really soon. So, and I believe they might also be at ASTA. So, if you're at ASTA, make sure that you meet them so that you can check out a little bit of what Trazel has to offer. Now, something a little bit different, but that I'm super excited. I seriously, if you've been listening to the audio summit, you know that I need another word for excited. So we're working on it. But I found this next piece of technology, a virtual reality type of technology, really, really fascinating. So we're going to be hearing from one of the founders, Akiva Reich, on what it is to like do these virtual site inspections and how they are a little bit more in depth than just what you would think a digital video might be. So let's dig in.
I think the personal connection, actually, we know it's a core part of our mission. And the way we lean into that is that none of the narrators are actors. They actually work on site.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be a salesman or a GM. They know the product well. It's not scripted. So they're speaking about what they would on a fam trip
Right.
or at a site inspection. So they know the
Love
product
that.
well. They know what to say. It reduces the pressure on the hotel to develop a script. So and that's the way we get them to talk to us when we're filming, is
Mm-hmm.
saying, hey, look, replace our camera with with the group that's coming to do a site inspection.
Right.
And it's really cool and it works. And they know the product, so it's easy for them to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if you were to hire, talent to go out and act it out and walk through the site, and script development could be complicated.
Right.
So because of those challenges, we were able to find a solution that actually creates more of a personal connection.
Yes.
It's the person that works there.
I love that aspect too, that it's not just you're looking at this beautiful vista or this beautiful venue, you're also getting like the backstory And I would also assume that, like, as part of their narration, they're giving ideas on what can be done in the different properties or the different spaces.
Yeah, I mean that's what's unique. This is the first technology that it gives the property an opportunity to talk to the viewer,
Hmm.
right? So they do that in person, right? So if you were
Right.
walking with a GM, they're like, oh, we want to do this and we want to do movie night, then this is what we're going to do here and this is how we're going to do it. This is the different layouts and, in the room, we've filmed many properties where, they're like, oh, this could be a day bed and wow, it's not in the listing. It's not in the room description.
Hmm.
So in other words, like you give them the opportunity to speak in person, they're always doing more than what you would see online or you might read in the comments, or feedback or somewhere in an OTA or might be on some other website.
Hmm.
Like you get to really interact with the property. Yeah, so in a way, it's sort of like this is the time that the property has the opportunity to sort of speak its mind,
Right.
for lack of a better,
Right.
and
It's
it
not
really
just a
comes through.
video.
Right. It's not promo. The way we say it, hey, this isn't promo. This is not
Right.
like, the slow motion, running through the fields or like on a,
Exactly.
that's there, it's been around forever, but there's no data. You don't really know the product. It's a fantasy,
Hmm.
you know, that doesn't help an advisor. It's
Right.
stimulating, but it doesn't really help an advisor. And we're also, part of our product advisory board, we have agency owners that are giving us feedback. Like we just added a requirement for all of our clients to have a dedicated video for ADA. So
Love that.
for handicap accessibility, there's dedicated video because in the US, for example, you have hotels that are obviously handicap by law, but they're not
Right.
handicap friendly.
Right.
In other words, the cabins, it might be a horizontal resort style property, but the cabins are really far from the common areas.
Mhm.
That's not a handicap friendly, right? So, and handicap is not only wheelchair, it's also elderly. So like, do you have, suites that have, might be like you might have a caretaker unit connected to it, or like villas or
Mhm.
rooms that have connecting rooms. Another sort of pain point for advisors are connecting rooms.
Right.
So we're listening to the users of our technology, and we want to sort of continue to improve it to make sure that the community of viewers are actually getting the data that they need.
Companies like Feel are those that like really inspire me and keep me going when it comes to the Travel Tech Audio Summit. People who are just thinking out of the box. How can I work smarter, not harder? How can I be more efficient? And so this type of technology, I feel like not only can save you lots of time and lots of money from having to do virtual hotel or different inspections, property inspections for your clients to figure out what's the best property that matches what their style is. I feel like this gives you kind of like an upper edge to other travel advisors that might be in the game, especially if you are taking advantage of all these things that can give you the edge over another agency that's out there. So make sure that you're maximizing the resources. Feel is one of the amazing ones that's out there. Obviously, if you know of any other like really interesting ones, because these are like super out of the box, this is what I love, and I want to make sure if we're doing another Travel Tech Audio Summit next year, I want to hear from you. What other technologies would you like to hear on a future series? Because season 4 may or may not be coming. It's all going to be dependent on you and how you love this season and what you want to see next season. So make sure you reach out to me about that. Now let's dive in. We're talking about like a lot of future world tech, and I feel like TravelWits is another one that's like that. I'm talking here with Arman Bimatov, who is one of the co-founders and the CEO of TravelWits. It's really like an AI booking platform, and in this specific snippet, so in a couple of these episodes, I really get creative. I want you to see like different use cases. So I really had Arman like dig deep in terms of going into his like mental archives, as far as to see like how travel advisors are using these AI booking platforms to really maximize their reach and also maximize their profits in places, in new places that they may not have thought about. So let's dive into this one. There's going to be a subset of travel advisors that are going to be very much like, no, I can't have a booking site on my website because that's what differentiates me from somebody else.
Hmm.
But I feel like there's so much opportunity, especially in what you were saying. So many, at least, like people like I especially know, it's just like little one-off things. They would
Hmm.
never hire me. They would never hire a travel advisor to book this one-off hotel. But if you can tell them that you have a link and still make revenue that way, I feel like all this lost revenue over the years that people may have garnered, they can attain it back with this piece of technology.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think that the other side of it is it's not just missed revenue opportunity, but it's also missed relationship development opportunity. Like you're nurturing that customer when they book because they book one hotel, they book another hotel. You're top of mind for them, and if they
Hmm.
have that, honeymoon coming up, right, that they need help with,
Hmm.
you're gonna be first on their list
Hmm.
because they've been using you, they've been enjoying the benefits of booking with you. They've been using, they've been seeing the VIP upgrades that you've been providing for them after they book. They're gonna, it helps you develop trust in that relationship with that client.
Yeah. Yeah. How are you? Because I know we wanted to touch on scaling a little bit. How are you seeing travel advisors are being inventive in how they're using this booking link?
Yeah, so I think um, there's one scenario that we've seen is advisors basically almost creating like I think this is actually becoming more and more popular,
Mhm.
their own community of members, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's something that we've seen advisors do is they create a community of members that they sometimes they even have like different tiers, levels of membership.
Yeah.
And as part of that, they provide a booking site to their members and say, hey, you can book with this and get, access to VIP service and great amenities. And we actually do support that as well. Like you can have it so that your site is set up to accept a member ID, for example, or a shared access
Hmm.
code. Yeah, so that's one really interesting example. We've also seen advisors set it up for alumni organizations. We actually do have an agency that set it up for a few Fortune 100s as their employee vacation portals. So employees can go in. So it's not a
Interesting.
corporate booking tool,
Uh-huh.
but employees go and book their leisure travel through that platform, and that's their employee perk because they're getting access to really good rates, sometimes even corporate rates that are okay for leisure. Um, yeah, so another example is advisors will add it to their email signature, kind of like here's a link, book with me.
Hmm.
Um, you know, you can also add a link to your site if you want. We've seen some advisors even running like ads and driving traffic to their site.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a lot of, creative strategies out there. Um, I think the only thing that you have to be cognizant of is, the inventory. It's very often, selling the preferred rates, you do have certain restrictions in place, like
Hmm.
basically where you have to maintain the site a closed user group. So you can't just like become an OTA, for example,
Right.
and sell it to anyone. So But we offer a lot of different mechanisms to protect your environment, protect those rates.
All right. What are we thinking about this? I hope that those gave you a couple of good ideas and also kind of just inspire you to listen in on the full episode, because I cut it off right before we started diving in on like the branding features to make this subsite look more like your site. So if you're wanting like more nitty gritty and details, you're definitely going to have to check out the full episode with Arman. And I feel like we're at a really great point. Let's give a big shout out and a big thank you. Let's do a little applause for all of our speakers on the Travel Tech Audio Summit. Huge thank you, Nikita, Tim, Krystal, Akiva, Arman, Ben, Andrew, and Reed for being with us this time. I know we're kind of at the midway point. We've got 4 down. We're going to get to 3 more. So our next one, I feel like our next 2 are going to be really creative because they're both for tools that you can use for your own business, but these are also things that consumer can find on their own. So part of what I wanted to get in these interviews is really how you can use these these 2 technologies for your own benefit to, again, really stand out from the competition. So the first one is called OnSpot Travel Solutions. This is really a boots on the ground concierge service. Not only is this going to be super helpful to your clients, but this is also going to be way useful to you as a travel advisor so that you don't have to worry about like those 5 a.m., 2 a.m. wake-up calls when something's happening overseas. So let's dive in. But first, I almost forgot. Let me introduce you to Benoit Cerceau, who is the founder of OnSpot. Tell us like a couple of recent, like maybe 1 or 2 recent stories of clients and how they've used OnSpot or what they needed when they called for an OnSpotter. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
When it's an OnSpotter?
Yeah, it's we call them spotters. So
Spotters.
so they call us spotters and get we have a lot of, so first we have a lot of funny things happening, as you can imagine. We've been doing this for 20 years. Almost 20 years, and throughout those years we've had a lot of stories, and I'll give you 2 examples. One is a more serious one, that, for example, we have a lot of families, so a lot of our clients do what we call fly and drive, where they would visit, for example, Australia or New Zealand or the Western US and rent a car and go from one city to the other, and that logistic can be very tricky sometimes, where they would arrive at a hotel too late, where the hotel would have sold the room during high peak season. This happens. Or the reservation was made in a hotel that is like 2-hour drive away from there. This happens too. Sometimes there's problem with mapping in the systems. But yeah, you could have like a family of 4 that just arrives at a hotel at 11 p.m. Just drove 7 hours, exhausted. And the hotel says, sorry, we sold out, or the room we had for you is like something happened. So would you mind driving another 30 minutes and go to a sister property? These things happen. So basically we try to do magic. We cannot always do magic. But in that case, for example, we always make sure that your client is taken care of by, maybe we want to make sure that things are acceptable for him and not because the hotel decided it's the best option for them. So we kind of, so in that case, for example, we work with the hotel to make sure, with the manager of the hotels, to make sure that, maybe the client stays 2 or 3 nights there. So that night, if your hotel sold out, what can I do? Not much. But we make sure that tomorrow when they come back, they have an upgrade and maybe a free breakfast and maybe a view, a room with a view. So we always try to do the best for the client and make sure that, again, their interests are well represented. You know what I mean?
Right.
And other things, we don't only deal with issues, we also deal with, like fun and more light inquiries from travelers. But something that was really funny one day, and that's a thing that for French people back in the days, they didn't have that many automatic cars. Like they have this, like the how do you call the gear, like the stick shift. Thank you, the stick shift. And then we had this couple that called one of our spotter and pretty much said, "Hey, we left the hotel 15 minutes ago, but the car smells like a burn. Like there's a weird smell of something burning." And we're like, "Is there like any light on the dashboard?" Is it? Yeah, there's like a yellow light there, but we're like, okay, exit the first exit because it's not normal. If the car smells burning, like there's a problem here. So they just arrived and then was like, okay, but what's going on? It's like, yeah, there's nothing. There's just this small light that says braque. Like French people that when they don't speak the language, there was like, it says braque. And what was the brake? Pretty much they forgot to remove the engine brake. So they were driving for all that distance with the brake on. So,
wow.
These are like, we have a lot of crazy stories. They're like, sometimes we laugh a lot because you can imagine that,
right?
People travel sometime for the first time in the US and they don't speak the language. They don't understand how things work, gas. So we're pretty much here to answer any questions they have, booking restaurants, or, sometimes we have some health issues. So they want to know what would be the equivalent of the over-the-counter medicine that we take in France. It could be a lot. Like we have more than 700 cases of different things they ask. So I guess our expertise is really understanding the needs of travelers in the destinations and for over 105 countries now that we cover. So that's it's not small.
Okay, how amazing is that? Because I can only imagine who else, raise your hand if you would have been so annoyed if a client called you up in the middle of the night because they couldn't figure out what was going wrong with their car and it was a simple fix like that. I know so many of you would not be happy, especially after working like long hours or having to have troubleshooted something else. How neat is it to have a service like OnSpot that can have your back and have your clients' back for you as well? I just think that this is so neat. Another reason like why I do this summit is to bring resources to you that can really help you in your travel business. Again, this is not only helping to like give you an edge, but this is also to help give you a little bit of peace and mind, because I think for many of us that joined the travel industry, we get in it. We want to do all the things because it's our client. We want to help them out. We want to look like the rock star, but there are resources to help you do that without having you needing to put all of the effort in your basket. So use all the resources that you can that can help alleviate some of these pain points and give you some free time when weird and wonky things happen to clients while they're out on their amazing trips that you've planned for them. Next up, we have Shaka Guide. So you might remember this name, Shaka Guide, from last year's summer selling series. We had Krystal on, who was talking about how to sell more trips to Hawaii, and she mentioned Shaka Guide, and I was like, well, this sounds like a really amazing piece of technology that we've got to bring to the Travel Tech Audio Summit. And this was such a great conversation. So I am talking here with founder Andrew Fowers. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to mess up some of the names here, but it was a really great conversation, not only to learn more about exactly what Shaka Guide is and what Shaka Guide does, but to learn a little bit the ins and outs and also how you can creatively use Shaka Guide within your business. So let's dive into this one.
Yeah, so first of all, we started in Hawaii 9 years ago. We had made 21 tours, but in the last 3 years, we've expanded to all the national parks.
Awesome.
And so as of the recording of this, we're currently in National Park Week, and we have over 80 tours all spread out throughout the United States, Yosemite, Yellowstone. We also have scenic drives like Lake Tahoe and Gettysburg and Boston Freedom Trail. Like there's a lot of great content that we've, specifically are curating with the idea of high quality, no advertising. So just to put a context, that's the full scope is not just Hawaii. Definitely, that's where we've started. That's where we've branded. It was Shaka Guide, but we've expanded much further beyond that. But to give you a taste of what the content is like, think about combining the best tour guide on your best day, okay, with Rick Steves, okay?
Oh.
Like Rick Steves is super knowledgeable, right? He's just a walking textbook.
Right.
And if you sometimes you don't always get the best tour guides, right? And you're like, oh man, what did I pay for? Now,
Right.
when you do get the best tour guide on their best day, it's just an amazing experience where you connect with the place, you really translate yourself from just, what you see to the deeper stories, because it's not just about, oh, beautiful beach, beautiful mountain. It's like, did you know that this is where Kamehameha fought a battle and actually pushed people off this cliff in the Pali Lookout? Like that changes the place. It's not just, oh, cool view, next, right? And so what we believe, our mission at Shaka is to connect stories with places. And through these places, it gives people a deeper appreciation for where they're at. And so it's not just a tour guide. We're not just trying to make money on this. It's really, we do believe in the mission that these stories need to be preserved and perpetuated. And we're doing that in the idea of taking them on a tour. And so the best tour guide on their best day, that's what you get for Shaka Guide. And it runs about $10 to anywhere from $30 a tour, depending if you buy a single tour or a bundle tour. So $30 for your whole family, unlimited use. Okay, so you can take the tour multiple times. And you have it for life, and you can come back and take the tour. Now, if you were to compare that to a guided tour, you're looking for a family, you're looking at $5 easy. And so we're really trying to make this a tour for the common man, the tour that anyone can afford and that they can appreciate this place, even though they may not be able to afford the human guided. Now, I don't think human tours are going away anytime soon. Okay, everyone's like, oh, AI, and and everyone's like feels somewhat threatened in the traditional tour space. Now, we've been in business 10 years, and let me tell you what, there's still some amazing tour guides out there, and we are not putting anyone out of business. We're meeting an unfulfilled need in the market. People
100.
that can't afford a tour guide, but also don't want to wing it with a guidebook. Okay, so we're meeting this middle market that wants a guided experience but can't afford the top end. So we're just in this middle market where people normally would just be driving around aimlessly, and now they have something at a reasonable price point. So this is something that it represents a bigger shift in the industry, that there's going to be more and more of these tour options available. We're one of the industry leaders in the United States, and we plan to stay that way. But this is a emerging industry. And so for travel agents out there, really encourage you to keep an open mind when you're thinking about, booking travel and booking activities, because we normally think, well, we got to, let's look at your package, right? And normally, you're definitely, I understand, incentivized to sell a human tour guide, and by all means, please do. But if you have a customer who's maybe a little price sensitive and they push back a little bit, then offer them the Shaka Guide tour. And then you can bundle it with the car rental, you can bundle it with hotel and other things. But this is an opportunity for a different type of customer.
What do you think about that one? That was really great, right? Like, I'm seeing all of your faces are like lighting up with the different ways and ideas that you're thinking about how to use Shaka Guide for your clients. You might have Hawaii clients, you might have national park clients. So Andrew was super duper gracious and he offered, I believe it's 20% off some of the Shaka guides this summer only. So if you wanted to take advantage of that for yourself or for your clients, you've got to tune in to the full summit to get the discount code, the promo code for that. So what are you going to do now if you haven't already done it? Yep, you got to sign up to listen to the full episode because I also want you to take advantage of an amazing promo code to try out these very already affordable Shaka guides. Now for our last interview in this year's season. It is with founder Reed Williams of Cruising. Now, you know me, I have the background with cruising in my agency, so I definitely geeked out a ton during this episode, and I cannot wait for you to hear this little snippet. Like, if you're a cruise travel advisor, you need to hear like the full thing. This is just like the tip of an iceberg. And Reed may have even given me like a little taste of what's coming down the pipeline, but I can't share that. That's just between us for now. But really exciting things. So let's get into the snippet.
The link is to the cruising version of the it's linked back to cruising that's associated with the advisor.
Okay.
And so this actually, what we say is like cruising actually helps with ghosting because when your customer is using cruising, they can see all the same things that you can see, including all the other cruise availability and etc. So they don't actually have to go somewhere else to search. They can do it all within the cruising platform. And so that actually can help you with the ghosting problem because you're not sending them just a quote that lets them go book on their own. You're sending them the ability to kind of see into everything that you see, including the cruises and whatever else. So for example, your customer can also heart a cruise. So if your customer hearts a cruise, that's actually a signal for you like, hey, I think I like this one, right?
That's cool. Because this can be, I know we're talking a lot about groups, which I know lots of people are doing, but could this even be like if somebody's booked with you a year out and you say, hey, I have this new technology. If you're ever interested in cruising again, make sure to search over there and you can kind of like get the stats of what they're liking and what they're searching.
Yes. So there's a couple of things that we do. So and actually this is a good kind of segue. So on the sort of side of like, help me get new customers, right? What we have is the ability for you to send out a link, and that link is your advisor link is what we call it. If you share that link on Facebook or anywhere else, anyone who taps that link and signs up for an account will actually be associated with your cruising account.
That's amazing.
And so they can create their own trips. Actually, they can self-identify like, oh, okay, I want to go to, Alaska in December. And you'll see that in your trips list immediately pop up. So, and you can see what they're searching and what they're talking about. Then there's the other side of growth, which is the like, how do I get my existing customers to help me get more customers, right?
Right.
So and so on that side, for every trip, there's the ability for your customer to add their friends and family. So when your customer shares that invite for that trip link, anyone else who joins that trip is also in cruising in the same group. And so now that collaboration is with you and your customer and all of their friends and family. So it's almost like getting the cruise conversation out of their group text and into your group text in essence. And so what that does though is for cruise advisors, it lets you get kind of beyond just the organizer. So you don't have to like translate through one person to get to the rest of the group.
That is pretty freaking cool. This is where like my nerdiness starts to come out because I'm like, there's so many different ways that you can use this because like I think of like travel advisors being proactive in doing that, like the customers that they already have in their database, and then to be able to have like their themselves share it with their friends, their family, kind of like compounds that. How or is it possible at all? Because I know they still have to book through their host. For people who are like more on the DIY spectrum and they're not used to working with an advisor, does cruising allow people who would normally be a typical DIYer? Does it allow like travel advisors to still get credit for their sales or anything like that?
So for that, we need to be partnered with host agencies. And so we're open to that. So if you look on our website, we have Cruisin' and Cruisin' Enterprise.
Okay.
So we actually have the ability to book end to end. We've just actually disabled it. And so we have to partner with these host agencies in order to enable this end-to-end booking. And what that does actually is you're exactly right. So like, let's say you invite a customer to a trip and they're on the trip and they decide to go ahead and book. You don't do anything. You'll still get the credit because the booking will go through under your qualifications or your ARC and IATA information or the right information so that the booking is associated with you. That's something that's a little bit more bespoke and is, it requires us to be partnered with host agencies.
Well, in snippets fashion, everybody, we went quick like a rabbit. Even though this episode was a little bit longer one, I hope it was super engaging for you because we went through 7 different interviews of this year's Travel Tech Audio Summit. Again, all the links to be connected with all the things so that you can listen to the full episodes and see what's happening in my world are down below. Let me know what you thought about this one, and I will see you all here next week. Bye, everyone.